Hey, we've already gotten some great feedback on our newest release, which went out last night around midnight. So if you came in this morning and noticed something was a little bit different already, let me share with you what we've done to improve the system. And we really appreciate some of our users. We've just passed the 18,500 active plans, client plans in the system. And with that, we're getting more and more really fantastic users out there telling us what they'd like to see to make the program better. There's no changes on this page, but I'm going to do this as a quick sample plan, just again to refresh and show you how quickly you can create a plan. I'm going to click Create New Plan. It's a refinance. I'm going to call this a sample refi. And notice the red fields are what I call the speed fields. These are the things that I can go in and do real quickly that I want to do on pretty much every case that I'm working on. So I'm going to put in just basically, you'll notice we've got one field here for refi, the plan title, which kind of helps us to remember what's going on. And I've got my 4 fields below here I want to put in. And I want to put in my liability. And I'm going to say this client has a current mortgage. Property value now is around 200, I got an extra zero there, 200,000. We'll say it's with a bank. They originally had borrowed 190,000 when they did the loan. Their start date on that we'll say was about 3 years ago. They're at a 5.75 interest rate. Their current balance is around 190,000. I can get my zeros right today. And there's their payment. I'm going to go ahead and say that they're paying $200 a month. That's their monthly taxes and insurance, or taxes there. And we'll say 50 on the insurance. That's tax deductible. And they are paying a mortgage insurance from their original loan. It's about $138 a month. It's tax deductible. It's not an FHA loan that they have currently. It's conventional. And we'll say they're stopping out at 78% on that. So I'm set up my current details here. And what's going on? This client wants to see if they can refinance with their lower property value and still save money. Would like minimum out of pocket. So let's say we're going to do this as an FHA refi. You've still got your referral partner and your follow-up comments down here, but that's it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 fields, and I'm on to the borrow page. I click my borrow page, and this is where you're going to notice something is different now. When I say something is different, you're going to notice now all of our lower windows that answer the 3 key questions are filled out for you, and all the numbers and the math are there for the loan amounts and the closing costs. We've taken away the individual field edits here and moved it in a way that is going to make it a little bit easier for you. So I'm going to shrink this up, and I'm just going to say 30-year FHA refi, and I'll override and say I just want to go with a simple 30-year. I'm not going to have a second mortgage, and I'm going to put in the loan amount. They owe 190, so I'm just going to go ahead and put in 190 right here. So it already lets me know that I'm at a 95%. And let's just say a 4.25% interest rate. So notice, just again, I'm doing this in real time and narrating it, and we are just barely into a couple of minutes, but I'm done with this particular plan with one exception, and that is before the widget box here popped up and gave you the ability to edit your PITI. Now what we've done is some of you had commented when you're doing multiple plans, you didn't like to have to enter the closing costs for each plan separately. You wanted to be able to copy those across. Now you can do that. I simply click my widget box, and you'll notice now we have both the closing costs and the additional expenses are right here. So I can come in, and one of the first things I can do is going to copy my current liabilities in for me, so I have those in here, and I can say, yeah, this is an FHA loan that also adds some additional fields. And a couple of things we've done here, you'll notice some of you wanted to, maybe instead of prepaids, you wanted to call this escrows. So you can now edit that, and that'll show up differently on both your report pages and on the screen. Maybe you wanted to just have one closing cost field, and you wanted to call that total closing costs and have all of those under one label to really make that simple for your client. So that gives you some flexibility on these 2 tabs here for closing costs and escrows. So let's say the closing costs for this loan are going to be around $2,000. And I want to include that in the loan amount because it's FHA, and I can do that. Let's say I got $1,000 here in escrows, and I'm going to include that in the loan amount. And I also have this base MIP fee of 1% and I want to include that in the loan amount. So I can actually now decide which of these do I want to include in the loan amount or not. Let's say I actually want to have the client pay the closing costs and roll the escrows and the MIP fee in. So I can do any combination of those I want. I can come over here and look in this and say this all looks good, except maybe this is going to be a little bit higher, and I want this to go for 60 payments or to 78%. All this is being done for you, and I click the Save button. And now when I set that up, this looks the same, but you'll notice when I come down here below, we've cleaned this up a whole bunch. We got no origination, no discount, 2,000 closing cost, 1,000 escrows, FHA fee of $1,900, total closing cost of $4,900, cash at closing $2,900. That's coming from the loan amount, which was bumped. Remember, we put in $190, but it adjusted that for us to $192.9, and I'm going to need to come to the closing table with $2,000. Now notice if the client said, I just really can't do that, and you need to finance it in. I just come here, click Include in Loan, click Save, and watch what happens. The loan jumped to $194.9. Now I've got no closing costs for this client on this transaction. Everything else is the same. I can come below and see the payment difference. I'm still saving $141 a month, and I can go out and pick my time frame and say, what is this going to save me over, say, the next 10 years? Is this worth doing it or not? It's going to save this client $17,117, and they have no out-of-pocket expense to do this. In other words, you're going to make this sale, and the client is going to walk away in a better situation they would have been, all things being equal. So this is the change. We hope you like it. I think it's going to flow better for you. If you're working on existing plans, you'll simply go and click on this to edit your closing costs. Now, I mentioned that one of the really cool features that this gives you the capability to do, I want to watch this. Let's just say I want to show the exact same scenario, but the client paying all the closing costs. All I need to do is click duplicate as I would before, and this duplicates not only all of this information, but everything in the widget box, right? So now I can come in here and call this one 30-year FHA pay closing costs. All right, I'll come up here and call this 30-year FHA roll closing costs. So that's going to be my little thing here. And then all I'm going to do is come in here into this one. Notice everything copied down. I'm going to say I don't want to include any of these in the loan amount and click Save. My loan amount now is back to $190, and side by side I can see the difference. 30-year roll closing cost, 30-year pay. Here's my break even. I got to come up with $4,900 here. My payment's $141 versus $165. Over 10 years, what's better? This will save me $17. This will save me $21. So I am going to save another $4,000+ by bringing that money to closing table. Okay, but I've got to decide if that's worth it to me to do that or not. What I want to point out is how easy is that. I can go through and add another alternative now by simply duplicating. It'll bring all that in, and I simply edit a few fields, and I could go through and compare this. Maybe I want to compare it to a conventional. So then I would just simply go in here and do conventional, right? And then with a conventional 30, I might be limited to, and I'll go, let's just bring all this down so I don't have to do anything again. And I might be limited to 95% at 190, and I could go through and then edit everything that I would need to edit. And I'll say on this one, no, this is not a government loan. It's going to be conventional. These closing costs are going to be the same. I can't roll them in, but the mortgage insurance may be higher or not. I don't have the funding fee. But again, you can see how it's just simply editing a little bit if I need to do that. But if I'm going to make a simple straight up comparison for this client as we originally started out, I can do it in a couple of minutes. It's going to be much faster, simpler for you. And this is going to clean up both your visual screen presentation and also your report presentations are going to be simpler. So let us know as you play with it. Give us some other feedback. We had a couple of great things in store for you that we're working on, and we wish you all the best. Have a fantastic day.